I'm going to explain your horse's balance to you using some cards. I don't have a regular deck of cards, so I got some Cards Against Humanity cards. And I'm a visual learner, not so much in that I see things to learn, but I visualize inside my head to learn to be able to convey to others. So I'm going to use a deck of cards to do this, to explain your balance and your horse's balance in a biomechanical way that will benefit you in many ways. One of them being just how to make your horse go better, obviously. How to improve your horse's balance. How to gain proper strength and ultimately keep them sounder for longer, because riding biomechanically correct eliminates your need or your perceived need to have joint supplements and all those preventative measures, right? Because the best way to stay sound and have longevity in your horses is to ride them correctly. And I think a lot of us have rode for decades thinking that we ride correct, and then we find out that we don't, and it's all based on biomechanics, and I can show you here with this deck of cards. Pardon my pigs in the background. This is your horse in a neutral, balanced stance. Okay? Simple. This is your horse on the forehand. So they're going to be down in the front, and their hind legs are going to be strung out. This is strung out. Okay? So you need your horse to first and foremost stay in this balance. And I'm going to tell you how to do that, again, using a deck of cards. So this is your horse in their neutral balance. Now, to improve the balance, to have a higher degree of balance, a higher degree of strength, collection, you need to imagine it this way. So obviously the cards on the top is your horse's top line. So you see how the front of your horse has come back, and they're coming back over their hocks. And why this is important is horses can move two ways, and they're always going to choose the way to move most efficiently without expending a lot of calories. Because remember, these horses are grazing animals meant to be walking 24 hours a day in herds. They're going to naturally be this way because they're going to move by momentum. It's easier. There's going to have a weight in the front, and it's going to drag them forward. All they got to do is follow the weight and drag them forward. Now, when you move a horse back to their balance, or even slightly over their hindquarters, it changes the entire musculature for how they move. They're no longer moving momentum where they're just falling over themselves, right? It's going to change the entire muscle structure in which they use to walk with intention, move with purpose. They're going to have to pick up their legs with intention. They're going to be using entirely different muscle groups. Okay, and it's important that these muscle groups are developed, because that is the key to proper movement and developing the correct strength that you need to have this longevity and balance and collection in your horses. When they're over their hocks like this, they can lift their front end. And we're hearing a lot about the thoracic sling and how important that is in horses. And when they're like this, they're overloading that thoracic sling. They're pushing their body down. They have no freedom of movement in the front end. Okay, and they already have 65% of their weight on their front end. So we need to balance that. How do we balance that? How do we fix that? So now this deck of cards is no longer your horse. This deck of cards is you. Now, I think a lot of people feel like they're in balance with their horse, but they're balanced to their horse. What they're not is balanced to being perpendicular to the ground. Now, if this is you and your horse on the forehand, okay? You're gonna feel like you're balanced that way. Feels great. It's the biggest lie we tell ourselves. And the reason we don't notice is because we don't maintain an independent balance of the horse. Okay? This is you having a perpendicular balance to the ground. So when you feel that your horse is going this way, you are steadfast this way. When they go this way and they go on the forehand, you're going to notice because it's going to try and pull you into that balance. But your job as a rider is to engage a natural half halt, which will rebalance the horse. When you are perpendicular to the ground, you will feel your horse go forward. And in that moment, you will feel a heaviness in the reins. In that moment, the heaviness will trigger you to activate your core muscles. And then, so you don't lose your balance, you will give a gentle squeeze with the leg. What does that do? That brings the horse from here to here. And it's naturally timed. Everybody's like, half halt this, half halt that. This is the half halt. This is natural rebalancing. When you yourself want to go to collection, we see people do this. Remember, this is you, not the horse. We don't need to lean back, per se, but I like to think that, and you know what? It might feel like this when you ride like this and you're trying to be like this. It might feel like that. But what you want to do is you want to imagine, because you need to allow your horse to come up in the front, right? So imagine that you're on a carousel horse and you have that pole right in front of you. So if you ride your horse like you're keeping in mind that the horse needs to come up in front and that you have this pole here, you're going to make room. You're going to open your chest, your shoulders are going to come back, and your horse is going to have a place to go. That is how you balance your horse. That is how you ride them biomechanically correct. This is how you prevent lameness. This is how you correctly develop the musculature needed for higher level activities that require higher degrees of strength and balance. No, your horse does not need preventive joint supplements. They need to be ridden correctly. Let me know if that helps.